Welcome to Law Society Younger Members Committee Career Information Session number 8. Jennifer O'Sullivan talks to Aoife Dunnican about the power of image and personal brand for the new office.
Welcome to our webinar this evening from the Younger Members Committee. My name is Jennifer O'Sullivan and I'm a member of the Younger Members Committee, and we are extremely delighted and fortunate to have Aoife Dunnican, aka the Style Bob, here with us this evening, and she's going to take us through her presentation. So just give you a small bit of background. Aoife is an internationally accredited stylist and owner of the Style Bob, a personal and corporate styling consultancy helping men and women globally amplify their image for ultimate confidence. And we're going to learn a little bit about this confidence this evening through our slides. So Aoife, please in your own time take it away. And also please note, if you have any comments, please put them in the chat and we'll address them after the presentation. Thanks very much.
That's great. Thank you, Jennifer. And I'm so glad to be here this evening. Thank you all for joining us. I feel like Jennifer and I are in a nightclub situation going on here. So, you know, this is possibly the perfect Zoom setup, but look, it's great to be here. So listen, I am going to, I'm going to keep this quite dynamic, lots of color, lots of movement. I do have a slide presentation. I'm going to start sharing that now, but thank you to the Law Society and the Younger Members Association for having me. This is a great opportunity to spread my message, which I am very passionate about. So Jennifer, I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Please do.
Okay. Okay, can you see that, Jennifer?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect.
Okay, that's not my husband, by the way. Let you know. Okay, so this is what it's called, the power of image and personal brand in the new office. And actually not just in the new office, but we know the future is going to change. We know everything has changed for us all in the last 6 months, but we know what is certain is that the new office is going to be a hybrid of face-to-face and virtual. So this will actually address our image both virtually and also face-to-face. And we will get through so much. What I ask people to do, and this is where Keith said to me to go to the next page if it decides it's going to be a bit cranky. Okay, so what to expect. It's tips to present the best version of yourself in this new world and beyond. Everybody is unique with their personal brand and their image, and it is certainly not about size, but it's just how we can maximize the best version of ourselves. I always ask people to take away one thing. That's all, because there's so much I'll cover in this. And if we start thinking, oh my God, I have to change, I've got to throw out all my clothes, I've got to do this. It's not about that. Take away one thing, because a small change equals a big impact. So who am I? Jennifer very kindly gave me a wonderful intro there. But yes, I think my mother said I had a bob since birth. I'm from Westmeath. That's me at the local races in Quebec, and wearing something that my sister sent me from America. She made it, and I did wear bloomers and everything else. Looked a bit embarrassing, and this is me on the right. But effectively, I own the Style Bob. It's a corporate and personal styling consultancy, and I help men and women over the world to amplify their image. So what does that really boil down to? So my history is actually, I used to work in Deloitte, actually. I was working in professional services. I have a marketing PR background, and I used to market to graduates. So I've had a massive interest in personal styling, but I actually retrained with London College of Style and colour psychologist dual standard last year, where I've always had a real, I suppose, a passion for fashion, but not just about fashion, what it can do, the power of it. I spent a summer in Saint-Tropez working for Joan Collins, and certainly looking at her, just even I learned about presence, about walking into the room, about owning the room, and being really confident in your own skin. So I work with women and men, and I shop for them. I look at their goals, I look at their presence, I look at how they can be confident to set out to do what they want to do. Okay, so personal branding, tonight we will touch on personal branding, but if you look at Jeff Bezos' description, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room, but it's effectively about standing out and differentiating yourself to build trust and perspective with your clients and employers. But really, when I think of personal branding, we'd say, you know, is it important? But it's actually, now we are totally in a digital world. We were getting that way anywhere. We got like LinkedIn, they said 60% of employers look to their profiles on LinkedIn when they're recruiting. So it's even more important now. It's not just about kind of, you know, just showing up, but we need to actually have a great communication and personal brand in all areas of our lives. So what does it mean, professional imprint? It's our behavior, that's our attitude, and how we inspire as a leader. It's our communication. Are we clear? Are we persuasive? Are we concise? It's our digital footprint. What are we like in social media? That goes across all our social media channels. What I will be focusing on tonight is their appearance and first impressions. So, you know, that whole image takes in so many things: behavior, communication, digital footprint. And it's important that just to look at appearance as part of the puzzle. So what you wear is how you present yourself to the world. Fashion is instant language. Fashion speaks before you do. And what I mean about this actually is I had a situation myself. I did an 8-year career break where I was at home with my 3 small children, and I went back to work for a global firm. And it's probably, I would safely say, one of the most daunting things I've ever done. And I needed to go back looking modern, looking knowledgeable, looking like I've got this, but I also needed to tell myself that I got it. So for me, clothes were my armor. They absolutely told me what I needed to think, and they told me the image I needed to project. So I remember going in that first day, and I had not even a clue what an electronic diary. I mean, I am talking, you know, going back to a global firm and knowing so little and absolutely being terrified. And after a week, I bumped into somebody in the Lewis, and they said, you know, how was your first week? I said, it was shocking. It was awful. And I said, you know, I hated it. And she said, but you looked so confident. You looked like you were fully in control. And she said, I would never have put you as somebody that was out of work 8 years. So it just goes to show you the power that it gave me that week, that the padded shoulder gave me the power to be confident and look confident. And I projected that confidence, and that was extremely important. So first impressions, okay, whether you like it or not, okay, people decide within 7 seconds of meeting you whether you're credible, confident, professional, interesting, valuable, and trustworthy. And if you think of the legal profession, trust is absolutely huge. Knowledge is huge. You know, all these virtues are so important, but those two stand out. Non-verbal communication can be up to 90%. And you can look at that and say, is that shallow? You know, do I really have to, you know, kind of dress for other people? But if you think of walking down a laneway late at night and you see somebody coming, we kick in, we start to assume so many things. So fashion speaks before you do. Your body language, your image speaks before you do. So what I say is take the control back and own it, and let you decide what you want people to think. So when I look at image and fashion and cut and everything else, it boils down to color. We'll go into color personality and what that means. It boils down to the cut of your clothes. So it doesn't have to be a red suit, but it can be a really sharp suit with a really interesting lapel. And what I always say as well is a modern look is a modern mind, because the robots are coming, and actually what we will have left, all we'll have left is our creativity. So it's a lovely way to get our creativity across. We look at grooming, and that's really important because it's actually quite old fashioned, but we can have a 5,000 euro suit on or a 50 euro suit on, and actually if we're not groomed and everything else, we just won't feel it. You know, look, how do we all feel when we have, you know, kind of get our hair done or anything else? And at the moment, let's face it, we're all going through a tough time. We're at home, we're in our joggers. It's very hard not to be. So it's important that when we show up on the video calls that we are properly groomed, because we're representing not only our brand, but the brand of our company. Now, I really want to talk about color. So, you know, I have an Instagram account, and I trained with a color psychologist, and there's so much around color psychology and what it means. But if you think, even if you don't like color and you're walking down in a park in March and you see the first daffodil, so how does that make you feel? How does the blue sea make you feel? So color actually really affects how you feel, even if you're not into it or not, because we see color in wavelengths of light. So the hot colors like red, pink, yellow, they hold our attention for longer, which is why a sign is red, a stop sign's red. If it was in a pastel, you just wouldn't stop. And then the lower ends of the colors, the blues and greens, are more calming. But color actually affects not only your hormones, but the hormones of blood pressure of others. Now, if we go into color psychology, brands have been using this for years. Okay, so if you think of red is like adrenaline, exciting. You know, you think of Coca-Cola, you think of cornflakes, McDonald's. It's quick, it's in. It's like, you know, feel the adrenaline. It's energetic. You know, it's like if you see a for sale sign, if you see buy now, it's red. We need to act. We need to go on it. When you look at blue actually releases serotonin. It's extremely calming. So if I'm going to go into Dell and buy a computer, if you see their logo there, or I'm on HP, I want to be really guided through the process. Okay, I don't want any red saying buy now, buy now. If I'm going to spend 1,500 quid on a computer, I just want to take it slow and gently. So blue is the other end of the spectrum. It actually is the most popular color in the world. And then with green is organic. You know, if you put anything in green, it actually looks organic, but it's that kind of, you know, fresh start. It's a great color actually to wear in business, and you can see that the organic brands use it very well there. And then you see yellow is a color of optimism. You know, you've got and joy and clarity and warmth. Subway use it, DHL use it. I think DHL has seen our houses quite a lot lately, but it's a happy kind of color. So what does it mean to wear the colors? So really interesting. So I talked about red. And I get into this and show you red in business. It's exciting, it's adrenaline. I wear it in my presentations, especially because my brand is about being passionate about what I do, is about creating energy and presence. So I have to wear my brand. I have to really be excited about what I do. So I'm in a room, I wear red to command the room. I'm now reduced to a tiny postage stamp. So I will wear red to actually look at, sorry, you can't see me now you can see me. I wear red to make sure that, you know, people are listening to me, and that I feel, actually, color goes in towards your skin, and a lot of it goes into, you can feel it in your skin. So I actually, even looking at this red, I feel, you know, energized about this presentation. Orange is a great networking color, because I will just say to you, color is communication. That's exactly what it is. And when you see how it's used in business, you'll understand that. But orange is just that, you know, now it's a friendly Zoom call, but if you're in a networking breakfast and you arrive at 7 a.m. in the morning, and you're thinking, will anybody talk to me, or will I talk to somebody else? Orange is that great color, because you feel like a bit of an idiot. I see Jennifer laughing there, but you do feel sometimes an idiot at these breakfasts going, you know, will somebody talk to me? Yellow is a color of creativity, of joy. I mentioned the daffodil. Yellow is great for an office space, actually, because it gets you, you know, gets your mind active and everything else. They say not so good in the bedroom because it overstimulates the mind. Green, and we talked about nurture, growth, prosperity. The Queen actually wore green 3 weeks into lockdown in the UK, telling them more or less, you know, the English people, you know, we've got this, you've got to keep going. You know, I know it's tough, but you really need to have energy to keep this going. We'll get there. And blue is, like I said, the most popular color in the world. It's the color of trust, communication, and loyalty. So a man in a blue shirt, obviously it's very easy, but it's a wonderful color. And Pantone named it last year the color of the year to inject a little bit of peace in the world. Little do they know what was coming down the line, but it is just a great color in business. I had a lady actually during the week who was presenting doing a very, very big webinar in the finance world, and I'm consulting with her at the moment. She's in San Francisco, and she said, if I want to look credible, I want to look knowledgeable, but I don't want to look like a typical banker. So I said, okay, let's look at a kind of red top for energy, and let's look at a kind of a blue navy jacket for that credibility piece. So the two colors together, she looked really superb. She looked knowledgeable, but she also looked interesting, but she looked capable and knowledgeable on her subject. Purple, very interesting in the legal world, because purple is wisdom, meditation, mediation, royalty, and, you know, President Mary Robinson became obviously the first female president all those years ago, and there's a fabulous picture of her wearing this beautiful purple jacket amongst all the men. So she wasn't hiding her femininity. She wasn't going black like the rest of the gentlemen, but she just did look very kind of royal and regal, and she did have that lovely wisdom about her. So purple is actually a great color, and pink is, you know, full of self-compassion, imaginative, creative. It's particularly good if you are in a very creative space. I did mention Hillary Clinton wearing it when she was going into Middle America She just felt she needed to be more womanly there. And you know, I know it may not have worked, but certainly that was her decision. And brown is a color, you know, it's actually a great color, and it's great mixed with other colors, but it has that kind of serious connotation about it, earthiness, reliability. You know, so certainly person, if you're going for an interview and you're wearing brown, it's more or less that person actually going to get the job done. You need them to do specific tasks, and that's a good color to wear. It's not the most creative color to wear, but that's what it means. Now, black is a really interesting one. And who doesn't love black? And black actually is interesting in that, although it's a wonderful color, like, you know, if you think of, it's a luxury color, if you think of brands like, you know, Mercedes, Land Rover, it's black, it's powerful, it's real power, but actually because black absorbs energy, when we wear it in business, we do have to be careful. So I was talking recently to somebody who needed to deliver a message to a team of 40 people. And the message was basically trying to say, look, I know we're going through a rough time, but we need to keep going. We need to rally, we need to keep going. And I said, okay, do not wear black, because you need to look like you are in a good place and you're energetic and you need to be happy. So it wasn't a case of not wearing black. She needed just to have a pop of color somewhere just to show her enthusiasm and positivity about this space. So you have to be careful wearing it. I was working with a learning team recently who were teaching people how to energize a room. And I said to the 3 ladies in there, and I said, you're all wearing black, you all look amazing, but the energy is gone from the room. So you're teaching people to energize the room, but you're not. So it's not a color of, it's not the color of approachability. And certainly I had a really interesting client last year who, I always do a color personality because I push people if they have an outgoing personality to really wear color. Anyway, she had a very outgoing personality. She got a 360 back from work, and 360 said she wasn't approachable, right? And I couldn't understand this because this was really, really outgoing, very friendly individual. But actually her wardrobe was black. It was all black. And I said, you know, that's not the color of approachability. If you want your team to feel that they can approach you, come up to you. So we put her actually in her shade of orange, which was a corally red. And I caught up with her about maybe 3 months afterwards, and she said, Aoife, it's great, but everybody's talking to me and I want to get some work done. And I said, well, you know, you wanted this. And she said, yeah, it's amazing. She said, it does actually start that conversation. I had another client actually who was having a team day in January, and she asked what she would wear. And I said, don't wear red, because it's not about you, it's about them. So it's not about you standing out. So there's a whole lot of stuff around color psychology. White, they say, is really good if you're going to be doing your appraisal and you feel you might be having a bad appraisal or a bad review, because it's the color of kind of clarity, fresh slate. And actually, that's a really interesting thing with blue. Blue is such a calming color. It is used obviously in hospitals. Could we imagine going into a hospital as red? But if you think about blue, actually, even I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe the courts have got blue, where some of the people might go in because it calms people down before they go into court. I'm not sure if that's a rumor or not, but that's what I've heard, but it's an interesting one. So just on the next one. Okay. Now this is interesting. So where do you want to get your news? This is we'll go through this part of the presentation quite quickly. You've calming RTE, and you've got sensational Sky. So I love Sky, but over COVID, I don't want to know about Sky. It's too sensational. I have enough stuff going on in my life. I don't need. So you can see the way the red is adrenaline. It's like, quick, 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 virus outbreak. And we're going, we know there's a virus outbreak actually. Whereas the RTE set, I went back to RTE actually for a lot of my news. I don't know, I'm feeling patriotic, whatever. But you can see that just the calmness of the blue. Now, color in the small, I will go through about dressing for video calls, but you know, if we look at Sheryl Sandberg, she is now reduced to what I'm reduced to a very small size. So you can see how color really impacts. It really makes you stand out. You need to stand out when you're on a small screen, and she just uses it really well. Color and youth. Could we imagine the Queen not in color? We couldn't imagine it. She wore this faux fur coat the day that she announced she wasn't wearing real fur. And it's interesting because a 19-year-old blogger wore it that day, and I think the Queen looks absolutely sensational in it. Jeff Goldblum's always messing with color and youth. And then with that gorgeous blogger, she's in her mid-60s on the right-hand side. I think it's Grace Menem, I think it is. And she looks just so youthful in color. Power of blue, Obama always wore blue. I think still wears blue, but certainly you can even look at him, you know, and he's so calming. And obviously Michelle was always out there with her color choices and was always fantastic at using color to express herself and her personality. This is a really interesting one with red, and it's interesting to be showing this on the day of voting. So Nancy Pelosi, who, when she went to see President Trump last January, she went to discuss the famous Mexican wall, and President Trump always wears red for confidence. That tie is that quiet, you know, it can sometimes be a bit aggressive, but it's that real energy, don't mess with me, this is my red tie. And Jennifer and I were just kind of having that chat. So Nancy Pelosi went to see him and she said, if I am going to be in the same room as President Trump, I need to have that energy and presence. So actually she had more tweets that day, I think, about her quote than about the actual subject matter. Color and power. So Dame Melina Morrissey is, you know, is not afraid to show color, given the heights that she's reached. And Miriam Gonzalez is actually Nick Clegg's wife. She is, you know, quite an amazing lawyer in Silicon Valley. And that interview was done with her in the Sunday Times last January. And there's no way she would have dressed like that 10 years ago in a professional setting. She would have been in her pinstripe suit. I think it's wonderful that women now are, I suppose, coming out and reclaiming their power with color. Color and approachability. So this is a great slide to show the power of black. So we've got Trini Woodhall, who, that's Trini 10 years ago, taken in Sloane Square. And she's kind of Sloaney, and she is, you know, looks wonderful and everything else. But if you think about Trini on the right, who would you buy makeup of? You know, you're going to go straight to the approachable colored Trini on the right, because she looks like the kind of person that actually, you know, is going to make me feel fabulous. She's not going to make me feel bad about myself. You know, this interesting at the bottom, you know, Prince Harry has always been that very approachable royal. He kind of shies away from color, shies away from kind of the, you know, that kind of stiff suit type of look. And he always wants to be that approachable looking royal. Michelle Obama, that's her there with Sarah Brown when she came to Downing Street years ago. And although both of them look great, Michelle certainly looks like the more approachable of the two. Color and me, absolutely. I'm involved in marketing, I'm involved in communication. I came back after 8 years being with home with my children. You know, I just, and I worked for Deloitte. Deloitte really celebrated diversity. And I can safely say that I had everybody in my department wearing color by the time I left. And it was not a case of wearing color. It was just, they said that sometimes even looking at me, I put them in a good mood. And that was not my intention. But certainly for me, going back to London and training in color psychology and training in personal style, I certainly always honored my personality with my colors. I don't do it for everybody, because if you are an introvert, I'll never go that far. So it's really important that I work with people individually. It's a really great screen, actually, and I'm just going to minimize this for a second. So when people say, you know, does it matter? You've got, you know, Steve Jobs wore a black polo neck every day of his life. Mark Zuckerberg wore a great t-shirt. The interesting thing about Steve Jobs is that he developed a smartphone that was only to be simple, right? It had to be simple. It had to just be swipe right, swipe left, right? And that's what his clothes were. Every day he woke up, it was simplicity, the black polo neck. So actually it was a brand. Mark Zuckerberg had the great t-shirt because he was appealing to the younger generation. If we look actually at Michael Murray, he is one of the design directors with Sports Direct. So although he's involved in you know, a sports trekkie kind of company or tracky kind of company, he still realizes he is a design director and he still needs to look professional. We've got Obama. Kevin Systrom actually was heavily involved in Instagram. And, you know, although it's a very young thing, I suppose, population that would be on Instagram, he still looks very young, very with it. Willie Walsh has always looked, Exeter Lingus obviously has always looked extremely sharp. And I really want to talk to you about that guy. I know I'm covering his name, Jeff, who is here. with the blue jacket. So actually, people may not know him. Jerry McGovern is actually design director with Land Rover, right? So he is always out testing Land Rovers. He's always out in the middle of fields. He is, you turning them upside down. He's out in muck. He's doing all these kind of things. And even though he's out doing that, he has asked an English company to make his jacket waterproof. So they actually make waterproof wellies. But he said, no, I still need to look sharp. I am representing a luxury brand. So his jacket is absolutely fitted perfectly, but it's waterproof. And I think it's fantastic. So he kind of is a bit like Bond, the way he comes out, and will always represent his brand no matter what. So I just always love using him. Okay. Don't do this to me now. So men and colors, I'm not sure how many men we have on the call, but brown dependability, but when we mix it with, it's great shades of khaki, tan, there's lots of various browns, great mixed with pink, mixed with blues. Gray is more formal than brown. It's great for diplomacy and power. Blue, I've spoken about it quite a lot. What man doesn't look well in a blue shirt? It always also looks very well on Zoom. And trust, communication, collaboration. It could be a blue tie. White, virtuous, healthy. We should be careful about too much white on a screen, because what I want to say here about if a screen sees too much white on you, either be it your clothing or your background, what happens is that the screen goes, the pixels on the screen go, oh gosh, the screen is too dark. We need to brighten it. And when it brightens the screen, it actually makes you look kind of gray and pale. When it sees too much black on the screen, be it all over black that you're wearing or a black background, the screen goes, oh, need to darken the screen. So as a result, brighten the screen. As a result, it darkens your face. So you just have to be careful about that. Red in a man, you just have to assess the situation. But it is kind of not aggressive. It's confident. It's courageous, and certainly very, very good in a type. But again, assess what you're doing. Black, authority, power, and elegance. And all I can say about black, it is a stunning color. But what I ask people to do is, when you wear black, make sure it's black. There's lots of times we need to look at our black and say it's off. It's just we've worn it too much. It's gray, and we just need to move it on. But black is powerful. Just black is the new black. So I go through this really quickly. Every time I leave this out of my presentation, people go mad. What about colors? What suits you? But really, I have a separate webinar on this. But effectively, when we wear right colors, and probably this is more important, I would say, as you get older, because wearing the right color makes us look so youthful. You heard that expression, that color drains me, or that color makes me pasty, or that color makes me too red. So yes, that is true. And there are certain colors I can't wear anymore, or if I do wear them, I have to kind of cover them with a scarf or whatever. So, if I go to the next slide, it probably explains it a bit better. The winter coloring can wear all the jewel tones. So that is that kind of cool skin tone. And it's kind of Nigella Lawson, Angelina Jolie, that doesn't have any color on their face, doesn't blush, quite a dramatic look. So the burgundies, the fuchsias, those kind of colors looks fabulous on the winter skin tone. The summer is kind of the Nordic countries, maybe quite pale, pastels suit them really well. And when a very pale person, let's say pale blonde with no color, cool skin tone, wears a heavy color, it just wears them and it's too much. So pastel is beautiful on that skin tone. Autumn is your typical kind of maybe Spanish, very warm, kind of a yellowy skin tone, maybe Spanish, Italian, French. They take the dirty colors really well. They take the khakis, the browns, the creams, that sometimes on a typical, let's say, Gaelic skin tone may not look well, but they take those colors beautifully. And then I suppose the spring is Juliette Binoche here would be kind of quite a warm skin tone, freckly, maybe red hair. I'm actually a typical primary spring. I'm a secondary winter. I wear the kind of corals, the emerald greens, they just really look better on my skin, and it's colors I also love. But like I said, this is, it's I won't say it's complex, but I could be talking about this all night. Okay, just color in a pandemic. We are all going through such a rough time. And when you're at home and you need to really get motivated, or there's that Pilates class that you really want to think about and you don't want to do it, or there's some, the Pelotons there, whatever it is, wear red. If you want to even just get some energy, wear red. I can feel it now. I wasn't wearing it earlier. I was doing other stuff. Blue is great. Actually, blue is used a lot just in people are stressed as well. They have tested blue light therapy in certain parts of Japan where crime rate has actually come down in train stations at night where they've used blue light therapy. Purple for mediation, meditation, you know, yellow for joy and creativity, and orange for sociability. But just really, you know, it's very hard to get ourselves up in the morning to get dressed and dolled up, you know, working from home. But actually it's a time where, when I certainly change into my uniform for work, be it personal styling or for corporate webinars, I actually become that person. So getting changed demarcates my life, and it's just really important. It's not to be underestimated for our mental health.
Yeah.
Navigating video calls. Okay, so this is really interesting. So first of all, personal brand and first impressions are still the same. In fact, I actually think it's more important because we do not have any social places. We don't have any places yet to have networking breakfast. So people might only meet you for the first time. So what do they do before they meet you for the first time? They go on LinkedIn and they'll say, okay, who am I meeting? Let's check him or her out. So your image on LinkedIn is now the first thing they see. So please, please, please get your LinkedIn photos sorted. It doesn't have to be professional. I do say it should be professional, but you know, it's just, you can't be sitting there, you know, with kind of at your wedding day or in a restaurant, because you're not representing yourself professionally like that. So image alignment has to be the same as digital footprint. And if you are there, by the way, all glammed up in a LinkedIn photograph, what happens is that when you go on the call, don't disappoint the person either. If they're seeing you for the first time, especially if it's a new client or it's an interview, because they'll say, oh, this is the Aoife I see on, you know, LinkedIn, and now she's coming up on this. And actually, I had somebody recently tell me that they had to present, 6 people had to present to a new client. And normally if we were all in the office, I would never say to somebody, what are you wearing to the new client meeting tomorrow? You'd never say that. But actually, these guys didn't have this discussion. And when they came on, one person was not properly dressed. So what happens is that the other person lets the other 5 down. First of all, they let themselves down, they let the company down. And ultimately, it's a bit like that book, Blink. It's just a distractor. It's all about a little tiny negative distractor. So that's really important that you really check out your profiles. Visualize your audience. This is trying to, I suppose, bring a 3D presence to life. So obviously, you know, at the moment, Jennifer is my audience and I can't see any of you. So I have to visualize, I suppose, you in my mind and what you might be interested in. And that certainly helps me in terms of customize my message for you. Be present to have presence. You know, it's important actually that we, when we are in a video call, an important one, that we are not being distracted by our phones, whatever it is. Think of the colors you wear, the perfect Zoom top. For ladies, in an ideal world, it's covering your arms, and only because half of our body is on Zoom and on a video call. And if half our body is on Zoom and our arms are bare, you're effectively showing 2/3 skin. So it's not about being prim and proper here. It's actually just a distraction. So it's better sometimes if you can have the sleeve to here. And also look at the structure of your outfit, because I had a lady recently go for an interview and she was wearing this beautiful navy structured dress, short sleeves, round neck, but actually it came across as a t-shirt on the call. So I said, better off if you go and get a t-shirt, a red t-shirt, I think whatever color we chose, and put a jacket over it, because I can't see the beautiful structure of your dress. So it's really important that you get a little bit of texture across, either be it in a chain, obviously a little bit of detail there. You know, I can see Jennifer's got her pink hairband, you know, you've got texture in your top. So ideally color, and just watch for detail as well. Lighting. We had a fantastic session. I think Kevin was on the call about lighting. So the reason why lighting is so important, it's not just this wonderful Zoom light that actually will take a few wrinkles away, but actually the most expressive part of our face is actually our eyes, right? And we're stuck with this communication for quite a while. So by actually putting lighting on my face, I'm showing you that I'm interested and expressive. It doesn't have to be this cool Zoom light that I have. I would say to people, you either put your, you know, I know it's dark now tonight, but, you know, during the day, if you can put your computer in front of the window so that the light is coming in your face, or else just get a lamp, like a cheap lamp behind your computer, and just make sure the light is coming in. But we've all been on those calls where people are dark. And what happens is that although you may not want to come up and you might be feeling crap and you're trying to mind a child, or you're just trying to whatever it is, you just look disinterested when you're not lit up. You don't look like you care. And this is really important when it comes to things like interviewing and all that. And somebody actually in NUIG asked me recently, is this really important what I wear in my lighting and all that? And I said, the reason why it's important is that somebody else will come on the screen straight after you and will have that, and they'll remember that person, even though it's the very same content. So lighting is really important. Makeup's interesting because, you know, certainly for men, I want to speak about this, and particularly for men, that if you are in any way, might be slightly sweaty after exercise and you have to deliver a message, it's really important to put on some powder, because if you look anyway glowy on a call, it comes across as stressed. So that's the same for women who decide they want to wear highlighter. Don't wear highlighter on a call. And again, I'm talking about an important call, because it comes across too shiny. It can come across a little bit stressed. So it's really important to matte down the face and think at the T-zone. Certainly for women, you know, I always say to clients, do a fake Zoom call and just see what you actually look like. But you can afford to, if you haven't time, by the way, lipstick and, you know, try and put some shape into your eyebrows with a pencil, whatever it is, just to put definition on the face. And for men, if you deliver a really, really tough call, I would say, you know, put something on your ears, like foundation or something on your ears, because actually if you're in any way puce, the camera will go straight to the redness on your ears. Camera position, I have mine up on a shoebox, and I need to look at this dot on the camera, which actually is really hard because I really want to look at Jennifer, but I can't look at Jennifer because I've got to look at my audience. So I have to look at the camera, which actually is really tough because you want to look at the person on the screen, but just to remain the eye contact. And again, eye contact is all about creating that 3D presence. And the sneaky cushion, I have one here because if I don't have the sneaky cushion here on my back, I will just drop like this. And when I drop like that, my voice drops, my projection drops. So for me to actually come on and be confident, I need this very hard cushion to remind me to just keep up and project my voice and basically keep my chest up. Layer is an interesting one because, you know, I can sit here like this and I can talk and I can be expressive, but sometimes if you're going to use your hands, it's a great way without being too much like an octopus. It's a great way to try and get your point across or be passionate about your subject. And breathe, just breathe, which I need to do now myself, is just breathe. That's really important. I'm actually showing you this, and you're probably wondering, why am I showing you the G20 Summit on Zoom? That's a good question. And the only reason I show it is because actually, you can see what are we drawn to on the screen? We're actually drawn to the people or the flags and color. So if you are looking to stand out on a big Zoom call of 20 people, if you want to stand out for the right reasons, look at just wear the color. This is a great slide, and it's one that gets people thinking, because the bland backgrounds you don't look at as much. So where to start? It's very different for everybody. As I said to you, you're the one thing, Jennifer might take one thing, somebody else might take one thing. We are all so different, you know, and it's amazing when I speak to people after a webinar, the things that they take, not what I'm expecting them to take, but, you know, we are all different. So ask yourself these questions tomorrow morning. How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel confident, energetic, awake, you know, uplifted, calm? Because you can actually dress to make yourself feel like that. Trust me, you can. And it's only when you make the effort to do it. And, you know, keep the joggers on. I'm not telling everyone to be going around the house, you know, all dressed up, but just make a small bit of effort and do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. That's really important. Professionally, who am I meeting? Is it a client? You know, because I would totally admit I have heard rumors of really awful ways that people are showing up on Zoom. And I know we have to have compassion in a time of a crisis, and this is a global crisis, but actually business is still going on, and we just need to, our brand still goes on. So we need to show up for our brand and for our company. So, but ask yourself first how you want to feel. It's really important. Dress for your sartorial lane, your color, your body shape, your lifestyle, your goals. Everybody is different. And when you dress for your individual self, it's like this kind of instant half stone lifted. It's just so powerful. Capsule Wardrobe, invest in the basics, because if you invest in basics, I will show you a few of my basics in a minute, you know, you will just have lots more outfits. Wardrobe audit every 6 months. You just have to have a happy wardrobe. You've got to go through it. You've got to declutter it. And I'll speak a little bit about that at the end. And buy what you love, not like. I have so many clients who say to me, if I went to Dunnes Stores to buy some milk and I came back with a top. So we've got to stop doing that, because actually we end up with lots of stuff that we only half like. So the multiplier effect, 16 key pieces can actually equal 60 outfits. So this is just, everyone's capsule wardrobe is different. You know, my capsule wardrobe actually happens to contain a leopard print jacket, but that's just me. So it's very different. And, you know, there's people I dress, and they're lots of different personalities. Their corporate landscape is different. And certainly, you know, I would say to everyone, you need to have 2 great pairs of jeans. You know, yes, we all need to have a pair of joggers right now. Don't buy too many unless that's your look and your lifestyle. We need a great blazer, because we can wear it to work. We can, if we have a really even crappy workout t-shirt, we need to go on a Zoom call, put the blazer over it. You know, you'd be amazed how instant glam that you feel. It also gives that kind of level of authority. It's really good. And, you know, a great handbag, some really good, you know, I put in black trainers there. I know a lot of people like white trainers. I love black for winter. It's very comfortable. Accessories are great. I'm a big person, you know, for colored necklaces, because it's part of who I am. And I would wear them quite a lot just to be expressive, and also to do up outfits. We need a great coat. Right now, it looks like we are going to be eating outside and drinking and meeting outside for only God knows how long. So we need a good coat. That's quite a formal one, but we need a good formal coat when we do get back to the office, and we do need to have a really good puff as well. A great smart dress, well cut, a great pair of black trousers. I'm a big fan of knits, the blue knit at the bottom, a good colored knit. Well, I say to people, if you want to get into color, invest in one piece and see how you feel. You know, it's just great. But that's just, you know, it's not everybody's capsule wardrobe. I have a trench there that's under Jennifer. It's different for everybody, which is why the capsule wardrobe, I always work with people individually, just in terms of trying to achieve that. Now, I always use him in my presentations, because it's a rule I live by actually now when I go shopping. And I know I'm going nowhere at the moment. I hope to be going anywhere. But, you know, when we go to go away somewhere, and we're packing, and let's say most of us, if we are going away, when we will be going away, we are going for the weekend, and we have to try and just take a 10 kg. And what happens is that we all have too much clothes now. We have way too much clothes. We own something like 60% more clothes than we did in 2004. And we're going out. We're not going out at all, actually, but we're going out the same. So now when I buy something, I have to really love it. Okay. And I say, would I pack it in my 10 kg? Would that make the cut? And it really stops me in my tracks taking something to the till, because it's handy. It's nice. I will wear it. Because packing 10 kg is so stressful if you have way too many clothes that you only have like. So picture Michael in the back of your mind the next time you're, I won't say you're packing, because you're not packing, but shopping. So this is kind of my last slide, but it's you know, I suppose a few rules that I try and live by and try and get my clients to live by, and I don't like calling them rules, but you know, define your goals. So, you know, you're all in the early stages of your career. Where do you want to be in a year's time? Where do you want to be in 2 years' time? What level do you want to be at? What does that person look like at that level? Because what you don't want someone saying, and I actually deal with a lot of people who actually, a lot of people in their early 30s recently just got promoted and they need to look the part. So if you're going to be made manager or director or partner, whatever it is, don't have people saying, I'm surprised she got that job, or I'm surprised you got that job. Own it now. It's really important. You're in control of it. Do your own brand audit. It's interesting, you know, go Google yourself. It's quite scary, actually. And, you know, if you do it, you probably see that you might have turned up at a party at some stage, but just make sure there's a clean slate there. Just have a look, research it, and define what you want that goal to be. Align your wardrobe to represent your goals. We've spoken about that. Plan and prepare. The golden five. The golden five is what I say to people: have 5 outfits in your wardrobe that you know work. Okay. So obviously for me, it changes every day because I'm, that's my job. But I always try and make sure that, at the moment, obviously my clients are just for Zoom outfits, but it's about just having the 3 Zoom outfits, having the ones that, this is the one I feel amazing in, this is the one for the new client, this is the one for my interviews, whatever it is. And, I obviously have put people's outfits all on their phone, but you need to get your golden 5. What is it that always works, that does not need any imagination? Detox your wardrobe. You do need to just, I heard people talk a lot about the COVID stone and the COVID hat stone and all that. So I'm not saying that you should take out all the clothes that you fit anymore, but just don't have your wardrobe make you unhappy. Take out the stuff that you're waiting for it to come back in fashion another time. You can't open your wardrobe to that. So it'll just make you feel awful. And you need to start from a happy place. If I feel I've got my skinny clothes in there with my normal clothes, I just end up not bothering or just getting depressed about myself. Know your professional landscape. That's really important. Certainly in law firms, some are business casual, some are smart casual, some are very, very corporate. So it's really important to work within that. Try something new. Honestly, after tonight, try it. Try something on a call, try something with a friend, personally, try a different color, shake it up a bit, because we can't stay the same. Nothing stays the same. Everything has to evolve. Complete the picture. Grooming. It's really important. There's no point, like I said, in a 5,000 jacket or a 50 euro jacket unless we are properly groomed. And, having a great, obviously I'm biased to talk about hair, and that's obviously my trademark, but, I certainly know I'm missing my blow dries in the next few weeks because I feel better and I present myself better when I do it. So it's something that's my armor, makes me feel good. Use image as your armor. That's what it is. Don't look at it as a negative place to be. It's really important that you own it and say, what can I do here? And it's never about size. It is not about size. It is actually about respect for yourself and respect for the other person. Complete the puzzle. Image is only part of it. Look at your message, look at your delivery. Be responsible and sustainable. I actually have a whole separate webinar on this too, but it's really important now. I think clothes now account for 10% of the carbon footprint. Fast fashion accounts for that. And, we can't keep going like this. We just can't keep buying stuff, wearing it once and deciding this has to go somewhere else. And shop local. This is really, really important, right? Right now, today actually I was trying to buy a base layer and it came up on Amazon, and beforehand it would have said add to basket, continue shopping, gone. But actually I did try, I made the effort to just source it out somewhere else just to find it. And have fun. Make one change, because this is not, and I don't want to actually, this is really important. I don't want you to see it as a set of rules. Everybody is so different, and everybody gets their kicks out of different things, and everybody's in different professions. But be your version of fabulous, because that's what it should be, and it should be nothing less. And thank you for having me. So Jennifer, back to you. I will stop sharing.
Thank you. Well, I'm a fashion lover, so I could listen to you all day. I really could. I think I speak for everybody when I say that I'm sure we were all actively applying what you were saying. How have I dressed in the past? Have I made some of the errors? Have I, I'm pretty sure we were all doing that as you spoke. But it's a very in-depth topic, and I think, especially for younger solicitors and younger lawyers, we are so wrapped up in career progression, and our armor is our competencies. And yep. I don't think a lot of the time, we surround ourselves with our competency, but I think what you have highlighted this evening is that the brand is not just what you do, it's who you are. It's an integral thing. And you're right. I mean, when you look at Barack Obama, Michelle, we all think of certain things when we see them, and that's before we think of what they've done. Yes. So that for me was my personal takeaway, because yes, it did evoke a feeling in me when I saw it, and I had never noticed it before, but it's all part of the branding, as you say. So I'm going to quickly check, was there any questions for you in the chat?
Yeah.
I'm sure there was actually. Okay, so I'm going to go for the first one. Okay, I think you kind of covered if hair if factored into it. You did mention it a little, but I suppose hair color. Have you ever had a client ask about that?
What's the question, Jennifer?
Does hair color factor into this assessment?
For personality, or for skin tone?
They didn't say. They just wanted to know, was it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because someone asked me recently, they had pink hair. I know, totally out pink hair. And what was my view of that? So when I actually broke it down, they were working in a particularly creative space in the organization. They also worked for an organization that embraced diversity. And of course, you know, that is really important and so key now. But, you know, would they be a person to go out and manage the accounts of a company, although they'd be extremely competent? And that's where, why not? You could say absolutely why not, because just because you have pink hair doesn't mean you cannot, you know, that's really important. But what it will do is that they'll have to just work that little bit harder to get across their fantastic competency. And that's why clothes should just underpin it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think with hair, I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm biased about hair. A great haircut and color, you know, not only years off you, but actually just makes you feel great. And I think a hair at a very basic needs to be well cut, but also just, I don't mean neat as in bob neat. We talk about bob and the lob, but just, you know, mind it, you know, just well cared for and mind it, you know, because
your grooming piece that you said is kind of like a finish rather than a feature.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you very much. Let me check. Okay. So that was the hair color. Should you wear a block color, or are patterns okay for video calls?
It's a great question. In ideal world, block is better, and not because of the perception. It's just sometimes the pixels on the screen. So it's a bit like when you look at the news. It's very rare you'll see them sometimes wearing pattern. Now the weather girls always come out with very interesting clothes. Sometimes we need that because the weather can be a bit depressing. But I think with just the way the screen picks it up, it's better if it's not too patterned, right? And if it's a small pattern, now you've got to avoid leopard because you look like Joe Exotic. That's the thing, and it'll also have that. Sometimes you can look like you've got a pattern on your knee, and I absolutely adore leopard. It's one of my kind of neutrals, but just be careful. It's not too busy because it'll just distract. Block is better in an ideal world, or mixing two block colors together. So just make sure it's not too, like your pattern, Jennifer, is great. You know, it's not busy. You know, yes. Yes, and it's great, and it's also, you know, your personality as well. So just make sure it's not too busy because it'll just distract.
Okay, great. It's good. You know, it is things you wouldn't really consider day to day, I suppose. Okay, so what about men wearing suits with tie or wearing suit no tie and open collar? Okay, yeah, this is something. This is discussed a lot with men. So what do you think?
That's really interesting. So, because I've addressed men, and depends on the organization. So I know some of the law firms are gone casual, business casual, smart casual. There seems to be loads of different things. So I think the reality is, you know, in this environment, if you're going for an interview, if a young solicitor tomorrow was going for an interview, put on the shirt and tie and the jacket, okay? Because it is respect for the organization, respect for the institution. I think if you're dealing with a client, at the moment, I don't think a new client will expect you to be there, or an existing client will expect you to be there with a shirt and tie. He or she will expect him or her to be, or him to be well presented, okay? So not the hoodie, And I did hear of somebody, you know, recently with a wealth management client wearing a hoodie. It's not on, because it actually shows you're getting lax about their account. So it's not on. So you've got to think of the environment. I mean, I was talking to a firm recently and they said just for this period, they've gone to smart casual in the law firm, just for this period. But you know, you are still on display. You're on display with your peers. You're on display with your management. You know, and like I said, it's that blink. It's the small little things. So I always say to man, a really good blue. Just blue works really well on the screen. The screen likes it. Even if it's not if it's a blue polo shirt, you know, or if it's a, you know, a nice, let's say jumper with a blue collar or something like that. But I think ties possibly just for interviews at the moment, or if you're dealing with law firms abroad, the American law firms are definitely more conservative. So then err on the side of caution.
It's almost kind of personal responsibility and self-awareness of your level, or as you call it, where you are in the corporate landscape, and kind of adapting yourself appropriately as you progress, I suppose. You know. So yeah, that kind of, it's a good kind of general tip. Okay, I'll just see. Is there any more? Pinstripe on a man. What do you think?
I think it looks great. And remember, with all these things, I never say, no, you shouldn't. Yeah. You have to have, the person, first of all, has to be really comfortable in it, right? So that's why I talked about color and personality. I had a lady recently who said, Aoife, should I not be buying that red coat because it was beautiful color on her? And I said, no, because you are an introvert and you do not want people, everyone's going to be staring at you, and that'll actually send you into therapy. Just annoying the person. I said, no, don't do that. So you see some guys who carry pinstripe suits really well and they own it. So if you're going to do something, own it and don't feel sorry for it. But that's a certain kind of confidence, Jennifer, you know?
Yes.
So I think if you're going to wear a pinstripe suit, make sure it's brilliantly cut. Preferably the stripes not too wide, but then some guys say, hey, I love white stripes, I'm going to wear them, I can carry them. So you know, it's really owning your look.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, that's the end of the questions, I think.
Right.
Any more?
We overdid our I went over time.
I know, we're enjoying ourselves so much. But thank you so much, Aoife. I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say we will take your knowledge and we'll try and apply it in a kind of healthy way and in a self-love. So thank you very much for being with us this evening.
That's great. And thank you, everybody. And stay safe and well.
Thanks. Thank you.